Jennifer Mowdy is back, the literary cat company in Pittsburgh, Kansas. And look at that cat behind you. Very exotically colored black with kind of torty markings.
She is a tortie, and if you look closely, you'll notice that she has no eyes.
Oh my
She is
goodness.
she is completely blind. This is our little Circe,
Wow.
and she is up for adoption.
I bet you somebody takes her.
Yeah,
She's so beautiful. She
she's
doesn't
the
know she's beautiful.
sweetest little thing.
Okay, so just to explain what you do at the Literary Cat Company, besides being a brick and mortar bookstore, which is a very bold thing to do in this day and age, where people don't read enough. And if they do it on a Kindle, not a
Yeah.
physical book, I'm a physical book reader myself, or they go to the dreaded Amazon. So I just want to say to anyone listening, not only does Jennifer have really cool books that you would not otherwise encounter or stumble upon, and we're going to talk about one of them today. We'll prescribe you another cat, which is another interesting and yet, to me, to our mind, kind of peculiar Japanese novel. But you have a lot of cats at the store that are up for adoption, including your beautiful blind one. But you also do a huge amount of work with the shelter who supplies you with the cats, because every cat who you can adopt out then makes room for another cat at the shelter. But you've had a crisis for the past few months, starting before Christmas. Talk about what that's and the kinds of challenges you face. I think people need to know what a devotion it is to be part of a cat rescuing community.
We have a wonderful rescue here in Pittsburgh that we partner with, SCK Animal Advocates. And they used to be just dogs, and now they do dogs and cats. They do not have a brick and mortar building. They are foster based only, so they rely on wonderful fosters
Yeah.
to take in the cats and dogs that they rescue. Yeah, in November we had a tragedy happen here in town. A woman was killed by a drunk driver in a terrible crash, and we were contacted by a friend of hers to let us know that she had been caring for upwards of 30 something, 40 something neighborhood cats where
As
she lived.
so she wasn't a hoarder with the cats in her home. She was taking care of a
She was,
colony.
yes. But over the years, she had let several of them come inside her home, especially the older ones, the weak
Right.
ones. She was even caring for some that were blind, some that were having seizures. So she had so many cats that she was caring for. And then when she passed away suddenly, her family kicked all of the cats out of the house and to poison all the ones that hung around.
Oh my
So
gracious.
yeah, our rescue, we banded together and went out there and began trapping immediately and trapped as many as we could possibly get. It was snowing and freezing cold at the time. It was hard to get them all because they were all huddled underneath her house, but we were able to get around 30 of them. But then you, where do you put them all?
Yes, exactly.
And many of them were sick and needed medication, they needed surgery, and they needed all kinds of stuff. So we're still dealing with that situation. We have sent several to other rescues. We've gotten them all spayed and neutered. We've gotten them all
Wow.
vaccinated. We've gotten them all emergency medical care. But we are still left with several that need adoption. They need to go into homes. They're still not in the best shape. They're not the most adoptable cats. They're beat up from living a life
Yeah.
outside for many years. But we're doing what we can, and we're not going to give up on them until they are all in a safe place.
It's really admirable, I have to say, because you're also a mom, besides being a businesswoman, and it's a lot to manage. And yet, so are all the people in cat rescue. Everyone has their human life, which has all of its challenges and demands. And yet, you all go such the extra mile for these cats. And I really admire it. I think it's fabulous. And so, anybody near Pittsburgh, Kansas, or anybody with a shelter that's low on cats, I know that must seem odd in some places where there's too many cats, but like in Vermont, where I live, they were transporting cats from the shelter in Southampton, Long Island, all the way to Vermont and swapping them for some larger dogs that they couldn't place in Vermont.
Mhm.
They didn't have any cats. maybe someone listening thinks, oh, we could use some more kitties. We've got
Hmm.
kitty love to go around. So well done on all of you. So
Thank
let's talk about this book. We'll prescribe you another cat. It's an adorable cover, I have to say. And it's written by Syou Ishida, who I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She writes in Japanese and doesn't speak English, so she can't come on the show. And her translator, E. Madison Shimoda, doesn't speak English either, or not comfortably. So it falls to Jennifer Mowdy and myself to talk about this book, which is a sequel to the first one, Will Prescribe You a Cat, because I know a lot of you cat lovers would love to read more books that are cat centric, and there aren't a ton of them. And we're drawn to those books that are all about a cat, a novel. Nonfiction, there's a smattering of beauties, and you have some of them, and
you.
some get sent to me, and then I ask the publisher to send it to you so you can sell some. But if anyone has already read Will Prescribe You a Cat, Jennifer and I talked about it. You can go back to the archives of Cat Chat and check it out. It's very odd. And I don't know, I thought this must be a Japanese sensibility. The Japanese are nuts for cats, they love cats. So they're going to love a book about a strange, hard to find psychiatric clinic where the prescription for people with a variety of either situational or emotional problems is to give them a cat and a carrier. This is going to solve their problem in a very obtuse, like, what kind of way. That book is in 17 languages. So it isn't just a Japanese book or a Japanese mindset or more of an Eastern sensibility. And it says that USA Today was a bestseller for the first book. And I'm sure that Will Prescribe You Another Cat. It is such a cute cover, I have to
Mhm.
say. It is also probably done really well. But Jennifer, I think both of us had cultural question mark. Why did this capture the imagination of so many people? I don't know what people are feeling like in Japan. Are they feeling really cut off where they don't have access to friends who they can discuss their issues with, or shrinks, or groups, or some activity that would get them out of their own head? So that the idea of being given a cat and a carrier within the instructions to feed it twice a day really resonated for the Japanese people. But there's 17 other or 16 other countries where it resonated as well. Does that surprise you? Because you have people coming into the store who are cat lovers. They come in, some of them just to hang with your cats. They also want books that are about cats. Do you
Mhm.
think that there's something that is being fed, some part of the soul of the reader that's being fed? That's what these books are supposed to be aimed at, I think.
Yeah, I think so. We have a large group of customers that come in and specifically want the Japanese written translated
Yes.
books. It's very popular right now, whether it's about cats or not. So many of them are,
Oh, interesting.
but they are specifically looking for the Japanese written translated books. They've either read about it or heard about them, or they're very into, they watch anime and manga,
Right.
and it's just a big cultural thing right now.
It's interesting because it doesn't resonate for me. I feel like I'm almost reading it in a foreign language. Not
Yeah.
that these sentences don't look like English, it's the ideas behind it feel so I can't relate. I can't really
Hmm.
get my claws into it, if you will. But clearly, I'm alone in that. It has nothing to do with my feelings about cats, but more my feelings about literature and
Hmm.
what kind of rings my bell. Which doesn't sound like a resounding, oh, you got to get this book or your life will be incomplete. We try to be really honest and say, if you love cats, this book will probably tickle your fancy.
Hmm.
The first, so it's a series of, the chapters are a series of people of different ages and different life situations. A young woman, problems with her family, an older man feeling left like alone and reclusive. The wife died, people with various issues, and being given a cat by this clinic that you can only find when you need it. See, I think that's part of the fantastical part of the book. We
Hmm.
know about Isabel Allende and other writers who write fantastical literature, and maybe the ones that are more Latin. somehow resonate more with me. I don't know about you, but the idea that it's a clinic that only people who really need it can find it. There was another book that we talked about on the show where there was a restaurant you could only find if you needed to have a meal that would satisfy your longings or your sadness or your memories.
Hmm.
That idea of something being hidden, I don't think of that as being thematically in some other authors or nationalities of authors that I can think of. The secret, the secret
Yeah.
place.
It seems to be a very prominent thing with that culture.
Yes,
And maybe it goes deeper and further back than we're aware of.
it has to do
Hmm.
because there are islands and places in Japan where people go just to look at cats, live
Hmm.
cats. They go there as a trip, like Cat Island. And there was a great documentary in the Cat Film Festival one year about the Japanese obsession, fascination with cats and how many trinkets and how many stores, how many items that are cat centric and cat cafes like your store, but just cat cafes, which
Hmm.
originated there. So I thought I would read a little excerpt just to give people a flavor of the book and maybe everyone's taste is different. So I want people to know about the book and care about the book and write to the literary cat if you can't go to Pittsburgh, Kansas, and say, can you send me a copy? Because maybe I hope this intrigues people enough because I think anything that gets you to reading is good. I would say that this could be a book for a school age child.
Hmm.
Definitely. It's completely relatable and the language is correct for the age of, I think your kids are school age, right?
Hmm.
Whatever school age means, less than high school.
Yeah.
And it has the feeling of a fantastical children's novel. I don't know, Wind in the Willows or something. Kind
Right. Yeah. I agree.
of. Okay, so here the doctor is taking a cat from the nurse. It's a huge Maine Coon cat, placing its chin on his shoulder as if he was carrying a child. Wow, she's heavy. How much does she weigh? I have no idea. You need to come and pick up the hefty cats yourself, says the doctor to this person whose name is Tatsuya. The cat must have been quite heavy, because the nurse's pale cheeks were flushed and her eyes were narrowed angrily. Good grief, spoiling the cat like this has made her so chonky. One of these days her collar's going to snap. The nurse left in a huff as the doctor gave the cat's a pat. Tatsuya fell onto his seat. He had never seen a cat that large in his life. He could only see the cat's back as she sat splayed on in the doctor's arms, but at any rate, it was a wide expanse of white with black patches. Her fur was long and reminded Tatsuya of a carpet. How much does that cat actually weigh? He thought. As if as if reading his thoughts, the doctor said, she's part Maine Coon, a breed of big cats. She was a large kitty to begin with, but her caretakers pampered her so much that she's grown even bigger. But she'll be but she'll be more effective at this size. Now where shall we warm you up? The doctor shook himself and adjusted his hold on the cat. Even though he was a young man, probably around 30, he seemed to be struggling to hold the cat's weight. As Tetsuya was speculating that the cat probably weighed at least 10 kilograms, the doctor crossed the examination room, brushing along the wall to stand behind him. Shall I place her on your shoulder? What? Before he could think, surely not. The cat had been draped face down over his shoulders, and in an instant her face was buried in Tatsuya's thigh. Ouch, ouch. Oh, was that the wrong spot? The pressure on his shoulders lifted suddenly. Tatsuya was so shocked he couldn't even blink. A cat so gigantic that he thought his back might snap had been plopped over his shoulders. Now she was back in the doctor's arms, dangling limply like a burlap sack. The spot that hurts isn't always actually the problem area. It's sore because a different spot is pulling on it and creating tension. So it's better to apply the cat on the other spot instead of focusing on where you feel the pain. Apply the cat? What in the world was this doctor talking about? As Tatsuya was pondering what he should do, the doctor walked in front of Tatsuya and lowered the cat onto his lap. Okay, please hold on tight. So that's what the book is like. Now that I read it out loud, I realize you could read this to a 6-year old, an 8-year old, a 10-year old, a 12-year old. A smart one could read it to themselves. It's just a curious style of book, and the book is like that. And so was the one about finding the hidden restaurant, and so was the first Will Prescribe You a Cat. In fact, the whole first section is about someone who gets the cat, and it's all about the litter box. And the cat doesn't like the litter, and the cat is spraying the litter. And then the litter with the poop attached to it goes on her boyfriend's face. And they go back to the doctor, and he says, "You got to try a different litter." And now she's seeing, did it urinate? Did it poop? Where's it pooping? Where's it urinating? I'm like, whoa, 17 languages for the first book. People are going to be amused, interested, perplexed. I was all of the above. So, Jennifer, I hope you have copies that will prescribe you another cat in the store, and that some of your customers will give it a try and come back and say, but of course, this book had so much hidden meaning and so
Mhm.
much symbolism, and I totally got it. So I
Yeah.
hope that happens.
Yeah. Me
That's what
too.
happens, right? That's
Yeah.
what we want for all authors, that they find their readers and that the readers are delighted to have been found. So
Yes.
thank you for all the wonderful books you carry and for
Thank you.
carrying on the tradition of putting books into the hands of children, many of whom come to your store, and adults. Maybe this is a crossover book. Maybe it's something that young readers, even though it's not called a young reader book, maybe they'll love it.
Yeah.
We'll wait and find out. Thank you so much for being here as always. Take care.
Thank you, Tracy.
Bye bye.
Bye.